Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of Diamond and Diamond's Real Estate Division podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I'd like to introduce Marin from Keller Williams Legacies. We are going to talk about her brokerage and how it's grown over the years and all the cool things that, Anna has been through, whether she's been coached or coaching, and really excited for the next 30 minutes.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the show.
We are too. It's interesting because we just met not too long ago, actually, and you have expanded into this amazing new office up in Vaughan. Mm-hmm. I would love to hear a little bit about it.
Well, I'm so grateful to have connected. I got to give a shout out to Rocky from Mortgage Savvy for making the introduction. I'm super blessed that we get to have you in-house now. But yeah, so for us, we started in the middle of the pandemic back in 2019. And so our vision was always to really grow in the York region. And we started in a 1,400 square foot office space, like literally nothing.
When you say we, is it you and you have some partners there? Okay.
Sandy, which you're going to meet shortly, but Sandy's our majority owner, our operating principal there. We have our leadership team. And then we also have a few other partners that have helped us actually launch the franchise through capital.
Amazing.
And so we started in the middle of the pandemic in that small, tiny office, and we've grown so much over the past 3 years. We're going to be 3 years in January since we officially opened our doors.
Wow.
So we're pretty pumped about that. But last year we saw a need, especially through the pandemic being like over, if we want to call it that, for having a space for our agents to thrive in. We would rent out venues, halls to do our events, and it got pretty expensive. So we're like, we'd rather just have a space that we can create for our own. And like yourself, we also have podcasts. So we wanted to have a media space so that our agents could grow into that and create content. And so we found a cool spot near Weston and 7 on Roy Tech Road. And throughout the past year, we've been building it out. So finally, the construction's done. We just had our launch party a couple weeks ago. We've got a 10,000 square foot, almost 11,000 square foot office space with
beautiful.
Fully outfitted with, we've got a kitchen, podcast studios, multiple agent offices. We have about 16 agent offices and team offices that are rentable. Big boardroom. We have a massive patio too, so we can host cool events in the summer. So we're really excited about growing now into that next step of our legacy.
Yeah, so we came to visit not too long ago. Walking around, the space is great. What I really loved about it, first of all, totally modern. I'd love to come into that office every day. If I was a real estate agent, I think, coming into a good office environment where you can, meet with team members, other agents, leadership, whatever it may be.
Not to shoot on our office space from before, but you walked in, it wasn't anything exciting. It was just like a kind of crappy little office space that we grew into. And I am so grateful for having that space because it allowed us to do so much other stuff. But now walking into that space, you're like, holy crap, from a client perspective, from a business partner perspective, 100%. Like yourself, or from an agent perspective too.
Right. And what's interesting there, what I really liked about it, so you had this kind of team space where there was kitchen and kind of tables, and then you had your preferred partners kind of be able to rent offices around that space. And you have a mortgage broker, you have law firms, you have other preferred construction. Yeah. Right. So, all these resources at the agent's tips to say, hey, to their client, I have this. So tell us, what partners do you have there?
We've got yourself, Diamond and Diamond in-house law firm. We've got a mortgage company that's going to be there with us every single day as well. We've got Acuron Construction. It's actually a construction company that was founded by one of our agents. So for now, we've got those three. And I think we can continue expanding. As of today, we're December. We're at about 150 agents.
Wow. 150 agents. And you started literally
almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's insane. So hold on. For anyone who's listening out there, you got 150 agents. They're still looking for business partners. If you're good, you got to contact Anna because they're amazing. I know we're inside. We're really happy with the team. And they already had a bunch of parties and stuff. We got to meet a whole bunch of people. It's a great team, but I didn't know you had 150. That's a lot.
Yeah. And we want to expand. I don't necessarily mean expand across Canada because we are limited within our franchise structure. But I do mean I want to expand and create a different perspective.
Tell me, in your past 3 years, what was the biggest struggle?
The biggest struggle? Just one.
Let's go with one for now.
Okay, we'll go with one for now. I think Well, like any new business, there's been a lot of failures. I can admit to that. And I talk about it often with the team. Like I mess up all the time. And being open and vulnerable and willing to admit that you fail is a big part of that. And I think at the beginning, for both Sandy and I, we struggled with that because we wanted to make everything perfect. We wanted everyone to be happy. But it's almost better when you tell people, hey, I failed and that's okay. Let's figure out how to fix it.
So how did you get into real estate?
Yeah. Young Anna
decides I'm going to be at first I'm assuming a real estate agent, right? Because
I'll tell you how it happened.
So it goes even further. All right, let's hear.
So I got back from university and like most people, I came back not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I was just kind of figuring my shit out. And I just started looking around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I found a job literally around the corner from my house working for a realtor as an executive assistant.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I learned a lot about business. I love marketing, that sort of stuff. So I went in for the job interview and at first she turned me down. She was like, yeah, because I told her I wanted to maybe go back to school. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And she took that as a red flag. And so then I came back to her and I was like, no, hold on. Let me tell you, like, if I show up and I really enjoy it, I'm going to stay with you longer. Maybe I won't go back to school, but like, I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
So then she was like, okay, well, let's give it a try. So I ended up working with her and her team. We built the team out for about a year and a half.
And that was under Keller Williams?
That was actually under Keller Williams in Niagara.
Okay.
And through that process, I got to learn the business, fell in love with the industry, met lots of amazing people, both in Keller Williams and outside and other brokerages. And at that time with my other team, they gave me great opportunities, but I saw a cap for where I wanted to go. So with Sandy, I saw the opposite. I saw that there was someone that had a very big vision, someone that wanted to achieve big things. And I just aligned a lot more with how he was going and his path. It worked out really well. From there, we built out the team, had a lot of great opportunity. Like our team in Hamilton still does about 200 to 300 units a year.
Wow.
We've almost hit the 300 mark so many times, but we're just missing it.
And in this considering like the ups and downs of the market, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I'm not really tied to the team as much anymore because when we launched the brokerage, I moved out to Vaughan, but my younger sister now works on our real estate team. So
fun.
It's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's been my past so far. It's been about 7 years since I officially got in the business and 6 years since I got licensed.
Wow. That's amazing. If you had to go back and tell young Anna to do something different, would you?
I don't think so, because I feel like I've learned so much, even despite everything that I've fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I have learned so much. But if I'm thinking about somebody that's out there, that's young, like I know a lot of people right now are struggling, the youth, especially that I'm appealing to right now.
Right.
They're trying to figure out what they want. I feel like we're living in a time economically that is very unstable, or people are scared and fearful. So I think the best thing that you can do for yourself is just surround yourself with great people and find something to aspire to, like kind of creating your alter ego.
Right.
There's a book called The Alter Ego Effect, and that really helped me when I was dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome, being so young in the industry and telling myself, why would people trust me because I'm so young? But what ends up happening is you get to a point where you're not young anymore. And then you're like, I missed so many opportunities because I thought I was too young to do that.
Right. Right. I think, it's funny. I think we see it all the time, even in my business, the legal business, someone comes out of law school and they're not prepared to be a lawyer. And so you have this dichotomy of coming in. They're like, okay, I'm a lawyer. Put me in a trial, boss. And we're like, no,
that's not how
it works. Right. And so, they kind of decide over the next 2-3 years, hey, is this really what I want to do? This is not just learning law. Now I got to do the crappy stuff, the paperwork, the learning, all the things. And it takes years, right? Like it's not, when I tell people, I said, look, you want to be a good lawyer, it's going to take you about 5 years to just kind of figure out what kind of lawyer you are, and B, your style, and C, if you like it, right? Because, you may not do it. So I guess, if someone walks through the door, if you have someone that's young and they're looking to become a real estate agent, what are you telling them, or what advice are you giving them? Is saying, hey, you're going to walk into this industry. These are the kind of things that you need to do to figure out A, if you like it, and B, if you're going to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate the approach that it sounds like you're taking. I think we're both in businesses where things are not, they're not super difficult, but they're not easy. I'd never want to pussyfoot around the fact that this industry is not for everyone. But I'd rather be upfront with someone and be like, hey, this is not easy. What you see on Selling Sunset or on TV is absolutely not what we're in the business of doing.
Right.
And just setting the right expectations, because if they have too high expectations of themselves, they're never going to fulfill, and they're never going to be fulfilled, to be quite honest, right? Versus like setting the expectation, like you came out of the Humber program and they taught you maybe 5% of what you actually need to know in this industry. Let's actually give you the right education. Let's put you on the right path forward, and then figure out what you want to do in this industry. You don't have to do exactly what everybody tells you to do. You just have to find what works for you and your lifestyle. It's interesting you say that, and we touch upon it a little bit, but we went through a crazy market in GTA and Ontario, and especially Toronto and GTA especially. So you had, 15 years of constant gains where, I felt like everybody and decided to I'm going to get a real estate license and I'm going to sell 1 or 2 houses a year. And that's going to be enough to be, my career. Yeah. And then as the market started to taper off, all of a sudden, those people that were selling 1 or 2 houses a year, it's not enough anymore, right? Like you can't sustain yourself. And, the people that stayed obviously had a certain quality, and when you talk about the people leaving, the people that stay and go through these times, what do you think is the personality trait or the character trait that you look for and that these agents have to make sure that they're competitive in this type of environment? Somebody deciding to say, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to door knock for a week. And then next week I'm going to try cold calling. And then next week, I didn't get anything from cold calling, so I'm going to try online lead generation. I mean, what kind of results can you actually expect if you're only giving it a couple days worth or a couple weeks worth? And this is the way I look at things is as a, whatever kind of business you're in, it's the same concept, but as a realtor specifically, our main job is lead generation. We need to find people that need our services. And if we're not doing that as often as possible throughout the day, we're really missing the mark. And so the people that are having a lot of success right now are the ones that are being super consistent with their lead gen. If you think about it, we have 260 working days in a year. And if you actually take that, just those days, and let's say a realtor is only deciding to do an hour worth of lead generation, that means that they're doing 26 hours a year, 26 hours a year approximately, which is, 260 hours a year, which is 11 days. So that means that they only actually worked 11 days. And for that matter, in a good market, what also skills do you not have that are not going to translate in a year from now, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I always say, look, an agent can put something on MLS. It doesn't mean that it gets sold. Yeah. And it doesn't mean does it get sold for the right price. And it doesn't mean you give the right service. And it doesn't mean after the fact that the person will then refer you. Like there's so many aspects of each purchase and sale that I think agents really need to, especially young agents, need to understand is that you're not just servicing one client, you're servicing a whole network of possibilities if you do it right. You're basically a project manager in a sense. When you look at the life of a transaction, there's so many people that you need to be in contact with, so much coordination that needs to happen. We looked at, I got the spreadsheet from one of our training courses and they listed out all of the tasks that are involved of a realtor or within a real estate transaction, let's be more quite honest. And there was 237 of just if a solo realtor, but 236 of them don't get to happen without them lead generating and actually setting themselves up for success. I talk to probably about 50 to 100 agents every single month, and a lot of them have a negative view on doing lead generation. They think it's something that they shouldn't be doing, or they have better things that they could be doing. But realistically, that's not the truth. No. And I think, I guess you get some people saying, I'm too good for that or whatever, right? Because they just assume that they're just going to have people come knocking for who they are. But the past 2 years, we've seen people's phones haven't been ringing. Right. So you have to go out there and get the business. 100%. So that goes in. You said you talked to 100. Is that within Keller Williams or is that outside Keller Williams? Well, outside. So we've got our agents, which I coach our top 20% to help them increase their production. Other companies, new realtors coming into the industry. And then with the podcast that we have, I get to connect with people all over the world as well. I'm hearing so many different perspectives, but the thing I always see is patterns. And you're involved in a podcast called Sales Beast. Mm-hmm. Tell us about it. Yeah, so we're going on 4 years now. It's been such a cool journey. My friend Mike and I, we started it. He's on the real estate team. He actually leads our real estate team in Hamilton now. Okay. We started it when we were on the team, and we got to attend a couple big conferences. We got surrounded by some really cool people doing cool stuff in the industry. We selfishly always looked at it as like a coaching opportunity for us to get free coaching from top realtors.
Wow. So the names that you come in, are you bringing, is it real estate oriented or is it sales oriented? What is the?
Yeah, real estate oriented. I would say majority of our audience is realtors either getting into the business or looking to build a team. But we do have guests that are outside of real estate. You know, we brought in environmental consultants, we brought in therapists, we brought in mortgage brokers, lawyers. Like we bring in a variety of people because the exposure that we want to our audience is not just real estate focused, it's business and people focused. I feel for anyone in sales, if we look at ourselves as like professional athletes, like the example you mentioned earlier, our practice time is us scripting and practicing dialogues, right? So that we aren't showing up with a client and then practicing our script on them.
Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah. Which makes sense. And it's funny because I think one of my, I've bought 2 homes.
Yeah.
One of them was a bad experience. And the other one, I walked into a house and I remember, he was showing me the house and I walked in and they had, I know that it's not a lot, but he just looks at us and he's like, welcome home.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm just like, whoa. And I still remember it as opposed to walking around and, cause I think as a purchaser, if I'm going into a home, I'm already on guard. I'm already on guard looking for things that is wrong with the house. I'm looking for things I don't like. And I'm also skeptical of the agent. They're asking too much money and, whatever. And this was a really different approach I had. And it's part and parcel of what you're talking about in training is that, this was something so simple, but
it created an experience for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't see that often. Right. And I think that goes back to is, how do you get those type of things, experiences, training, work and how do you put in, or is it just one of those things where you say, look, I'm going to give you the info. I hope you use it, but if you don't, you're going to fall off the cliff.
Well, yeah, I think it's always a big, it's like you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? It's if you just put people in the right rooms, if you give them exposure to the right content or what we believe is the right content, because there's so many different models out there. And especially in the real estate industry, you could be listening to one person and they have this viewpoint on one thing. And then this person has a completely opposite viewpoint. So then which one do you listen to? But if you give a variety and give different perspectives, then the individual can actually choose what they want to believe in and what they're going to follow or what model they're going to implement. So, I mean, I don't think there's a solution for that. It's just, I mean, a lot of it for us internally has to do with like marketing our content out to our agents. So putting our podcast to them, because first of all, it's value to them. Right. I selfishly use it as a coaching opportunity.
Well, none of that. If it's coaching for you, it's coaching for them
exactly.
as well. Right. So now you have this great new place. You have over 100 agents. Where do you see yourself and Keller Williams Legacies in 5 years?
In 5 years. So we've set up pretty big goals in the past, and sometimes we miss the mark, and I think that's okay. But we've set some really realistic goals for next year based on our previous production and based on the retention systems that we have now. So we want to be at 200 agents by the end of next year.
I think that's a great goal, and I think that's actually viable. On a lighter topic, we're at Starbucks. What are you ordering? What's your drink?
Oh my gosh. I'm like black coffee. That's it. Or sometimes I'll get the shaken sugar oat espresso drink. Oh, have you ever had that?
Yeah. So you went from black coffee to like a 17 syllable shaken. I know because my daughter likes that one.
That one's really good. I like the white foam that they put. So sometimes I'll get the nitro brew just with the white foam.
If you could have one type of food.
I would say just Mexican food. Does it have to be like one specific item of food?
No. It can be like Mexican.
Okay, because with Mexican food, it's all the same ingredients, just done differently. Like it's corn, a meat, and a salsa, just like in different formats.
You have a bowl, you can have it. It's so versatile.
Yeah, so we'll do Mexican.
Okay, awesome. Now, is it Taco Bell Mexican or?
No, I'm from Mexico. I gotta have the authentic Mexican.
I had to ask.
My dad would shoot me. He calls it Taco Hell. So
okay, so you're in Vaughan.
Yes.
And you now have this, this Mexican food knowledge.
Yes.
Where are agents and us and customers, where are we eating? Where are we getting our Mexican food?
In Toronto, we just tried E02, which is in like North York.
Okay.
Really, really bomb. And then downtown, you can find a lot more stuff. But Vaughan, the Mexican game is lacking.
Okay, so
like
there you go. If anyone else
out there,
if anyone is listening and wants to open up a Mexican restaurant and you're good at it, then there's an opportunity. I'm going to assume you have contacts outside of Canada. Does Keller Williams do any work internationally?
Oh, yeah. So KW's in about 60 different countries now across the world. We're the largest by agent count. We have about 200,000 associates in those 60 different countries. So we personally also have an international real estate department within our office. It's led by one of our agents in this called Soul Properties. He created this company and he partnered with our pre-construction division. So we have a couple projects that we're selling down south right now.
How do you convince or sell people on something that they can't see? Like, it's hard, right? Because here, you buy a house and you go see it and it's not far because you're looking for a neighborhood. But now you're saying, okay, I got this great property in Turk. So how do they present that to the potential purchaser?
Well, yeah, I'll just speak on their behalf because like one of the projects that they're selling is one of my family members' projects. And I just attended their sales event the other day. But essentially what they're doing is they're curating specific events every time they have a project or that they're doing something in a country. So they've done El Salvador, Dominican, Mexico, and Turks and Caicos. So the one that just happened is they had a client-focused event or a consumer-focused event. And it was really an experience. So they had a Food Network chef come in and do like the food from the countries. And then they had a whole presentation on the projects. Like you said, they can't see them in person. So what's the next best thing? Videos, photos, explaining what the values are of investing in those areas, what the economy's like. I know in Tulum right now, they have a new airport and they have a new LRT, like a new train system. So like those are big selling points where if you buy now in the next couple of years, there's going to be a lot more value. So they've been really focused on doing those events. And I think that's brought them great exposure. And so I'm excited to see where that ends up going. There's just so many opportunities. And with Canada, we've got limited land, limited resources. So at a certain point, we have to look elsewhere. But with the team that's doing all this international stuff in-house, they find the right contacts. They do all of the research beforehand. They find the right people that are going to service the client so that when the client comes forward, they've got all of the tools at their disposal. They don't have to wonder or try to figure out how to actually do it. They've got options.
If you had to pick one trait that is common among or should be common on all real estate, like with all real estate agents?
I mean, this is going to be difficult, but I think that there should be a little bit more humility in our industry, especially because we're so we're so in the public. Like we have to put ourselves out there. We have to market ourselves. I find that there's a lot of ego sometimes. And I mean, hearing about it from the consumers, they don't have a great view sometimes on how realtors make their money or, what our industry looks like. But there's, I think, a lot of people out there that care and that want to provide a great service and definitely earn the opportunity every single time. But on the opposite end, there's a lot of people that have ego, don't care about the clients and really are just there for the paycheck. So if there was a bit more humility, I feel like we would find more opportunities to collaborate, work together, and still get the best outcomes for everybody.
So we're nearing the end of the podcast, and I have to ask you this. Obviously, you're a realtor, and this is your industry. You got to tell all of our viewers and listeners, what is the market going to look like over the next 6 months?
Great question. I know we hear this often. We don't have a crystal ball. And at the same time, there's been so many indicators that things are turning around into the new year. Lots of economists that we've been in chats with, lots of mortgage brokers that we've been in communication with have been saying that we'll see a bit of a dip in interest rates in the future. We have seen fixed rates come down quite a bit in the last little while. So you're still getting affordable rates in this climate. We also saw an announcement that our GDP is down again. So that's a very good indicator that rates are going to come down probably Q1, maybe Q2, potentially a little bit later in the year. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the same rates that we had, like where money was absolutely ridiculously cheap. We got a interest rate for like 2.39 in 2021. Like I don't think that's ever going to happen again. But at least we'll get to a point where now prices are a bit more affordable, interest rates are not out of control, and everybody will have a bit more consumer faith in what's going on.
And lastly, I didn't ask you this before. You're a young female leader in this industry. So, I've asked you for advice for other agents. what advice would you give to young females?
Yeah, I mean, what's cool is I'm in a company that is very female oriented. So we have a lot of female leadership. I think at Keller Williams, 68% of our associates are female.
Wow.
So we're very female driven. I think it's surrounding yourself with right people, connecting yourself with networking groups with other females. I'm part of Connect Her in Vaughan, which is led by one of my friends, Sharon. We get to meet great women all the time, every single month, and boost each other up.
That's great. Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you so much, Anna.
I just got to say, lastly, thank you for having me. And I'm super excited to have you guys in our office in the new year. It's going to be an awesome time and ready to build some cool shit together.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I know you're designing our little office space for us, and we're going to have people there, and we're going to come and steal everybody's food in the marketplace whenever they're around, and possibly give legal advice while we're doing that. That's the plan.
That's the best part about it.
Anna, thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to thank you on behalf of Diamond and Diamond. Again, Anna Marin from Keller Williams Legacies in Vaughan. If you have any questions, you want to contact her or her team, or you're an agent looking to join and you're not sure how to get in touch with her, you can contact me and I'll put you in touch. And thank you very much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.